and welcome to our video today on the user collection in Adalo. For this tutorial, I just have a blank app and an additional screen called disconnected screen, which I've not linked to any other screens. I haven't done anything with the database or anything like that, but if you'd like to follow along, you can create an app that looks just like that. So first, every app in Adalo comes with a users collection. You cannot delete the users collection and you cannot rename the users collection. Typically, if you want to edit the name, you'll see an option here to do that. You cannot do that here. Every users collection in Adalo comes with the same 4 properties. You have your email, your password, the username, and the full name. You cannot delete these properties. They are in your collection for good, but you can rearrange them if you would like. So if you're not utilizing one of these properties, let's say the full name, and you've got several others, you can go ahead and drag that to the bottom of the list so you don't have to see that every time that you're interacting with the users collection. The only property that you cannot move is this email property because that is the unique identifier for this collection, meaning you cannot have duplicate email addresses logging into your app at one time. And so that property is in the first column in your database, in your user collection, and it cannot be moved out of the first place. So 2 things that the users collection can do that are unique that other collections in your database do not have access to. First, your logged in user data is accessible on every single screen in Adalo without connecting it to a list and passing the data through to other screens. We have a video on how data passes through an Adalo app, and I will link that here. But I also wanted to show you exactly what I meant. If we come here over to this disconnected screen and we add a text component, you would need to have data coming from a list in order to access information from inside the collection. But here, because we're talking about the logged in user data, you actually can see it right here. And again, nothing is connected to this screen, but logged in user data is special and can be seen anywhere in your app. Next, when you're setting up a form, let's use that this is going to collect information about our users. And if you had another collection, you actually don't get all of these options. In fact, you'll only get an option on like updating or creating a record within that collection. But when you're talking about user data, you have the opportunity to log in a user and sign up a user. Sign up a user is just another way of saying create a record in the database. Every app in Adalo comes with these 2 screens. We've got one, a login screen, and we've got a second that is a sign up screen. And as you can see, these are 2 different forms that are gathering different information. So if somebody is logging in, which means that they've already created an account in Adalo, we actually only need to gather their email and their password. And you can see here on the submit button, we're just logging in the user. We get that up here when we ask, what do you want the form to do? We want it to log in the user. This means that Adalo is doing some sort of checking in the background where we want to check and see, is somebody with this email address and this password in our database? And if they are, we can go ahead and let them through. And if they are not, we are going to block the login and they'll have to try again. Here in our sign up form, we have it that we want this form to sign the user up. When a user gets signed up, that means, again, that we created a record in the database for the first time. We also talked about the login and sign up information in our overview of screens video, specifically when we were talking about the welcome and home screen that gets assigned to at least one screen in your app. If you haven't checked out that video yet, I'm linking it here and I definitely recommend checking it out. A couple other unique functions for the users collection are going to be, one, we have the option to log people out. So you can go ahead and see a button, add an action to it, and under this long flyout menu here, you see more, user login, and then you can go ahead and hit log out. Similarly, there is a forgot password function. It is not recommended in Adalo to create a special forgot password flow in your app because the password field is unique to Adalo. It's encrypted information. If you're planning on utilizing a forgot password flow, this is the action to do so, and then you're all set. You don't need to worry about anything else. Adalo has it handled. Everything that has to do with the user collection is tied to what is called authentication. And authentication just means that we have a way to tell, is the person who is logging in the person that they say they are? And that is done through a password. In other systems where you need to log in, you use these systems every day. Sometimes you'll see something like sign in with Google. We have a component in our component marketplace called Google Sign In, and when you utilize this component, people are able to sign in to your app using their Gmail addresses or their specific business addresses that were set up using Gmail. When using this component, the appropriate information is going to be added to your database and is either going to sign up or log in the user, similar to the authentication system that Adalo uses. If someone signs into your app using Google Sign In, they must use that Google Sign In button every time they use your app, and they cannot go and create their own username and password utilizing the same email address. The same thing is true for Apple Sign In. Again, it works directly with the Adalo database and user collection, and so you can use either of these two options as different ways to sign up for your app. The last thing to mention about the user collection is that every app that is planning on having logged in users and creating a personalized experience for these logged in users is going to have to interact with the user collection. If you are using an external collection or a database from outside of Adalo, it's not possible to utilize the user collection from somewhere else and authenticate that information over in Adalo. The only place that this is possible is Xano, which is a no-code database that we directly integrate with, and you can store your user information outside of Adalo. We have several videos available that discuss our Xano and Adalo integration, so if you're interested, definitely check those out or check out our help docs. All right, that's all we needed to cover today on our user collection. I hope this provided a little bit of insight on what to expect when you create a new app with Adalo and how that users collection is really important and what kind of information it stores. If you have any questions, please just comment below and I will answer them as soon as possible. Otherwise, make sure to check out the videos that I mentioned in this tutorial. Thank you.